And then we have the magnificent, magnanimous, and marvellous observer, myself. Phaonix over in Friesland. Friesland having been starting to take over a couple of territories. Phaonix only joined a session or two ago, so didn't have the start out the gate that many of the players did. But Friesland has been in a pretty good position. They do have a couple of vassals out here. Holland, for example, being one of their vassals. I'm just double checking that. So we are going to be seeing a unified Netherlands probably sooner rather than later. And it is just a vassal, not a march. And we've got Sir Striker over in Poland. Poland, of course, having been beset by all kinds of problems. Currently going after Galicia-Volhynia to try and reunite their countries. The big blow against Poland, however, is the fact that they have lost their personal union over Lithuania, which is going to make the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth very difficult, if not impossible, to create. They've also lost Krakow to Krakow, who they're currently allied to Lithuania. I suspect that we will see a resurgence. I do think that Poland will be able to take the Lithuanian territories back again. Are they actually able to form the Commonwealth? Yeah, they can try to enforce it, which requires stability 3, admin 10. They need to own, oh dear, Vilna and Minsk, which are both owned by Russia. Otherwise, these two are owned by Lithuania, which they should be able to take without too many problems. Although they don't have Danzig or Marienburg, currently owned by Brandenburg, clearly going for a Prussia here. Whether Prussia will sell those territories back, I do believe that Poland sold them this stuff, is possible. And Poland has had a pretty long-standing alliance with Brandenburg. So I think that Poland's gone, okay, I need to have a really strong neighbour, so I'm going to allow Brandenburg to form Prussia, and then hopefully this alliance will stick, particularly with looming threats on their frontier. It is definitely in Poland's interest to have a bigger brother protecting them, although they are allied to Austria. So Austria may now be looking at Russia saying, you've had enough. Enough. Stop expanding this way. You have your own problems over there. Go deal with those first. Are the Russians still allied with the Ottomans? Yes, they are. The unholy alliance continues. Next up, we have Brandenburg, currently played by Slurfen, allied to Poland, Papal States, and Friesland. Pretty decent alliance chain. Brandenburg has been involved in several of the wars against Russia alongside Poland, not really coming out on the best of terms in that, though definitely not like underperforming. And also we have to consider that Brandenburg does not have most of their strong ideas. They are very much a late game power. They do now have their army professionalism, which I'm not sure they had in the previous conflict, but they don't have the extremely strong goose step just yet, nor do they have the +5 discipline or the manpower modifier. So Prussia is going to be becoming a powerhouse later, but they are starting to enter that era. Probably in 10 to 20 years time we'll see a really, really strong Prussia emerging. Also, to form Prussia they need admin 10, I think. Yeah, admin 10, they're currently on admin 8, so they are lagging behind in that. They did have to core quite a lot of territory, as Brandenburg has expanded a fair amount since the start of the game. Next up, we've got the Empty Road over in the Mamelukes. The Mamelukes definitely having held themselves out as a bit of a powerhouse. They are extremely wealthy. I know that the Empty Road was talking about being a mercantile nation this game. And if we actually sort by income, we can see that the Mamelukes are currently, actually less than I thought. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th overall. Is this players? Yeah, that's just players. So the Ottomans are the wealthiest, then Bahmanis, Morocco, Papal States, Inca, Spain, Mamelukes, Ajam, England, France, Russia would be the top 10. They themselves having taken which ideas? Economic, trade, and quality. They've only actually just started trade and quality. Trade ideas will definitely help them earn more money, but they are next to the Ottomans, and the Ottomans do seem to be taking their cut of the profits, not to mention some other powers taking their share in Genoa. I think that we do have a fairly large trade empire emerging from the Papal States. They have been upgrading quite a few of their centres of trade throughout Italy, and the Papal States are making a lot of money because of it. Here is a loan without AE, so this is Tunis. We now have a Tunis. Is that Genoa and Crimea? Yes, Crimea starts in Genoa. Genoa's not a human player, so I think that's them being kicked out of Italy and left over there. I'm not sure that Genoa is a pirate, though. In fact, I doubt it. Russia and the Ottomans won't be allied for very long. I feel like the Ottomans left them hanging in the last war they were in. They certainly didn't participate with the zeal that one would have expected. That is very true. Certainly willing to pull their punches rather than going all out. I'll take a look at the religious map mode in a moment. As soon as Tunis has finished loading. I will take this opportunity to pour myself some more tea. Huzzah! Alone without E, taking a while to load in there. And there we go. Okay, so all players are now present and correct. This is the full group that we have, and they are certainly making for a colourful map. We are certainly ending entering the end of the gobbling up as much territory as you can and entering the real geopolitical phase where the whole world is claimed by players, and now they start to really struggle against each other and the conflict brews. I mean, we still have the New World, which is very much open for grabs, and we may well see some escalating tensions over that. But in terms of, say, Europe and also increasingly India and the Middle East, it's pretty well solidly claimed by this point. And land is certainly becoming more of a premium to take. Alright, so next up we have the Martian over in the Ottomans. The Ottomans having played a very strong, pretty aggressive game so far. They've not done very much going in towards Europe, and that's probably because Austria has been a pretty strong bulwark in the face of Ottoman expansion, but they have been spreading into the steppe. We haven't seen much aggression between the Ottomans and the Mamelukes, though the two have never been allied, so this is probably going to be a relatively fortified position. The Mamelukes certainly not pulling any punches when it comes to defending the northern border. The Ottomans currently going after Shirvan, throwing in an awful lot of manpower to do so, and trying to take up as much territory as they possibly can before Oirat arrives. I quite like the fact that Oirat's just this looming threat of death hanging over the Middle East and Europe. It's kind of an interesting thing. Although Kazakh have just split out. Oh no, they're a vassal. So Oirat trying to make themselves look smaller than they really are. Can't trick me, though. Austria have the Holy... Oh, they do. Which includes Jerusalem. They were probably sold that by the Mamelukes for some reason. And Austria themselves should not be underestimated. They do have a PU over Hungary and Bohemia. Like, Austria is not just Austria. Austria is a pretty big powerhouse. Not to mention the size of the HRE at the moment. If I can remember where on earth the HRE... There it is. This is the HRE. It includes the usual suspects in Germany, plus the Netherlands, plus Belgium, plus Northern Italy, plus Central Italy, and Scandinavia, and Britain, and Denmark, and Poland. Like, the HRE has certainly grown somewhat in this game, and Austria has made absolutely no bones about the fact that the HRE is going to be protected by Austria, and it has not been seeing any incursions by foreign powers. The fact that Poland has now joined the HRE means that Poland is now being protected by Austria against the more aggressive neighbours, so Poland might be given a little bit of space here to start to breathe. I think the Papal States went for it, called a crusade. I don't remember seeing a war between these powers, though. So maybe the Papal States called a crusade, and the Mamelukes are like, don't want to fight you. What do you want? Alright, so next up we have got Tursin over in Morocco. Morocco and Tunis and the Mamelukes having done a great job of splitting North Africa between them. Gobbled up most of the Central African powers. A couple of them still left. They may have some rising tensions with the... I forgot about this. Colonial Austria. Yeah, you heard that right. We have got a colonial Austria. They have taken exploration ideas. So I'm kind of interested and intrigued to see where they decide to expand. They are down here in South Africa. They may well try to round the Cape and try and get into some of the Indonesian goodness. I don't think they've arrived there just yet, but they are certainly preparing themselves for that spring. A little bit disappointed that we haven't seen an Austrian American colony yet, although a lot of the colonial powers have really started late in North America's 1544. Britain's got 2 colonies, France has got 1, Spain's got a couple, taking up, I think, most of the centres of trade. Yeah, they're taking up all the centres of trade, which may well cause friction between them and the other naval powers, because I'm pretty sure that nobody wants Castile stealing all of the trade from North America. That's going to be a lot of money. Oh, Britain does have a couple of more colonies over here, so Val has done a pretty good job there. And then the Caribbean being a hotbed of conflict, and in fact one of the wars has already been fought over Tortuga. Tortuga being a victory point and a means of generating points. Right, we were talking about Morocco. Morocco does have colonial ideas. Yes, they have exploration, and we are probably going to see Morocco expanding. We do have them down here in Namibia. Oh, and they also have the adjacency to Matapa, and this colony is almost half done. It's gem-producing, centre of trade, and adjacent to Matapa, which is just going to be a massive source of wealth. So this could be an extremely wealthy Morocco that we see rising here, although that is probably going to be causing some kind of conflict with Congo. And I'm a little bit surprised that we've not seen the Congo going after Matapa a little bit more strongly themselves just yet. Then we have got Logan. Is it Logan? I think it's Logan. Going to need to double check my player list, because sometimes they don't use proper names. Where are the Kamchandals? Logan, I was right. Down over here in the Kamchandals, our Siberian buddy playing in Kamchatka, although that is not the only place where they are. Oh no! They have wanted their own place in the sun, and we actually have a Californian Kamchandals also appearing. I've heard it on the grapevine that they are planning on jumping over to the New World and making this their main territory. What are the Kamchandals' ideas like, I wonder? Curious about this. Land attrition minus 15%, unjustified demand minus 25%, so that's a very aggressive, well, mixture of aggressive and not aggressive combination. They do have attrition for enemies plus 1, domestic trade power plus 10, production efficiency plus 10, fort defense 15, prestige plus 100, manpower plus 15, reinforcement 5, and then global settler strength. Plus expansion ideas means, and exploration, means that we could well see a very, very expansionist, large territorial Leviathan-y Kamchandals yet. So we'll be watching their progress with some interest. Then we've got England, led by Val. England having, of course, been a pirate republic. I do wonder just how much they are causing problems throughout the Baltic, throughout the North Sea. That really depends on how far they can reach. They don't have any bases here, so they can't get to the Baltic, so they could go on to... yeah, they could get Norway. Norway. I can't remember if it's 3 provinces or just literally 2. I think it's... I don't count that one, and then it's 2 away. So I think that they can get to the coast of Denmark, and they can round some of the coast of France. It really depends on how friendly people are. Though we do have a player war. Sir Striker, currently fighting in a war against other people. We have got Poland, Austria, Bohemia, Hungary versus Krakow, Lithuania, Sweden, and the Teutonic Order. So Poland, Austria, Bohemia... oh no, Bohemia's Austrian vassal. So it's Poland and Austria versus Sweden, effectively. I wonder if they are really planning to fight this. Sweden seems to have a couple of other problems of their own right now, which they are probably going to be rather more concerned about. Brandenburg is going after Lübeck, trying to grab this territory probably before Hamburg gets it. Peace offer from Poland has been offered. It is a white peace. Whether or not they will accept it, I don't know. Really depends on whether Sweden feels like fighting this fight or not. That's a really unbalanced army. 6 infantry and 16 artillery? What? Probably planning on using mercenaries to get their numbers up. But right now, Sweden has definitely taken a couple of blows during this early game. Also, I just remembered it was asked what the religious map mode of Europe is looking like right now. So we have France, who was Protestant, was Catholic, and then it was Protestant, and now is Reformed. We have Protestantism, which is rising in West Germany pretty strongly. Catholicism seems to be holding on around Italy and Austria and Iberia pretty strongly. Plus, Scandinavia has not flipped. They have remained Catholic. Reformed does seem to be growing, and Reformed may actually end up bigger than Protestantism, seeing as we've got the Low Countries and France going Reformed, and then Val over in Britain having gone Anglican. Otherwise, Sunni is pretty strong. We do have the Shia Ajam, Theravada, Ayutthaya, Sunni, Malacca, Shia Bahmanis. Interesting. I think they start Sunni. So they've flipped over to Shia. Although most of the territory is going to be Hindu. And Bahmanis do have some pretty big bonuses to ignoring religious-y stuff. So they're probably just fine. What, Mordred, you've not heard of New Vienna in Wales and Linz? They were major colonial cities in the Austrian-American East Coast. They start Shia. Oh, do they? I always thought it was just Persia that was Shia. Interesting. Anyway, this war is still going on. We have seen the Swedish troops moving down to Holstein to counter potential offensives. The White Peace apparently having been rejected by the Swedes. What are they hoping to gain from this? Teutonic Order is at war as well, but they're not going to be able to take anything because Brandenburg is not in this fight. What are they fighting for here? Wow, internal conflicts. They are having some real problems. Less religious unity than 100. Number of provinces in revolt over 10%. Stability less than 0. They're on -2. What's happened to you, Sweden? What has happened to Sweden? No loans. Financially, they're still okay. They're just really beset by a lot of rebel problems, apparently. It doesn't seem particularly interested in fighting them. They may well just concede to the peasants. It's just a loss of autonomy. And being at war doesn't help. But again, this is they were offered a white peace and apparently rejected it. I think it was a bankruptcy. Yes, they are. 47. Bankruptcy's lost, what, 10 years? Right, it was the previous session they went bankrupt, fighting against Russia? I think that was a war they were in. So yeah, they were still bankrupt. Okay, fair enough. Although, why they haven't just peaced out with Poland, I'm not sure. It was Sweden versus Russia, yeah. Russia was kind of up against it, and this was when the Ottomans didn't really lift much of a finger to help protect them against the Swedes and the Poles. I do remember now. Alright, where were we? We have got Venetian Merchant, the not very aptly named Venetian Merchant over in Milan, although they do have a bit of the Venetian trade node, owning Mantua and Milan. Who has Venice? Papal State does. Yeah, these two are splitting their trade really weirdly. Like, if I was Milan, I would have said, I'll take Venice, you can take Genoa, or vice versa. But considering Milan is in the Venice trade node. And I think they would have made a lot more money doing this. But instead, they're splitting it between them, and it's not as efficient. Regardless, that is the deal that they came up with. Milan's been playing a relatively quiet game. They have absorbed most of the countries here in the region, and I think they are playing pretty tall. If we take a quick look at Milan, we can see that they are a 265 development versus the Papal States 400. Are the two allied? I think they are. Austria, Memmingen, Papal States. So yeah, we do have the North Italian bloc fending off other outside attacks. Papal States sending a large army north. Who are they at war with? Lübeck and Bremen. Alongside Brandenburg, I assume. Yes. Meanwhile, Hamburg, allied to Sweden. Are you transferring trade or anything? Nope. Just being allowed to exist for the time being.